All right, all right. Feels good to be back in the friendly confines of the original, the OG Badge Bros channel for a minute here. First solo run, Roto run, solo run of the football season. A little housekeeping off the top. Underdog, if you're not playing on the platform of the people, the good people at Underdog have a brand new promo. We've been talking 100% match deposit over and over again, up to 100 USD. Well, now it's up to 500. So I mean, I wish I hadn't been playing on Underdog this whole time so I could take advantage of this. But promo code MLB at sign up, and you'll get a match deposit 100% up to 500 USD. A little housekeeping off the top, but I imagine most of you sickos hanging out doing these drafts and whatnot are in fact already on the platform of the people. But in case you're not, there we go. Unfortunate bros aren't here to join me. Kind of like a spur of the moment thing. There's a lot of stuff happening with both of these slates, and I was drafting them anyways. So I was just kind of like, why not hop on and stream this? So maybe a little bit more of this in the future when the mood just strikes. Acknowledging all the good people in the chat. GMs. Yeah, man. I wish I'm feeling this too, Suhan. Like I wish we could take advantage of this somehow. But we got the rake back program, we got the gladiator program doing us some good service when we're putting in max entries and stuff like that. Okay, lots of stuff to talk through. I want to start with the Thursday, Sunday stuff. I did a number of the main contest. I was up really early this morning for I have no idea why, and I jammed in about like 40 more of that morning one. So I got thoughts there. I still do not have a good lean on the backfield for the Giants, but with a 16-point team implied total, I don't think it necessarily matters as much as we might think. I'm gonna go ahead and put on a little tunage in the background. Tell me if that's too loud. More for my sake than your guys' potentially. It's just weird to be. I'm not fully comfortable with these solo things yet. It's kind of weird, right? Okay, good shout here from Neumy that Roth just updated the weather. Yeah, the weather is playing a interesting side plot to flip the main slate a little bit. But let's talk the Thursday one first. Bring up the old Fantasy Life Hub. I was just messing around right now with some potential pace stuff. Just curious how different teams played and whatnot. And it's actually interesting that we have the Steelers on this slate. Like obviously we'll start here. Obviously, this is the 2-game slate. We talked through it a little bit yesterday, but Giants with a 16.5 point total. It's weird that with Barkley out, the line only moved 0.5 in most places. I don't know. It's really hard to see. It's really hard to, even with my picture this, imagine this mindset, to paint a narrative where the Giants on 4 days after an afternoon game in Arizona then find their way to a winning spot in San Francisco with the travel. Yeah, I don't know, especially without your best offensive weapon. So anyways, they have a 16.5 total on this one. Pitt's got the 20, San Francisco's got the 27, and Vegas has the 23. If I'm building out stacks from like a game environment standpoint and I'm looking for a team to push the other team, I've actually been doing a lot of the Vegas Pittsburgh stuff, and my highest exposed player right now is Josh Jacobs. And as you can see below here, the ETR projections, they actually have Jacobs, his raw projection, a little bit ahead of Devontae Adams. Vegas was extremely pass happy last week, as we can see from the Fantasy Life Hub here. Bring up the Raiders. They're pretty balanced in week one in like a more competitive game environment, and then they were pushed to play fast. Well, I mean, they've played fast both weeks, but they were pushed to a pass-heavy one when they were trailing against Buffalo. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody, but it's just interesting to see it reflected in ETR's projections, with both Jimmy G projecting higher than Kenny Pickett, which is different than on the site projections right now. That's interesting. And then actually, while we're talking quarterback just for a second here, Daniel Jones is actually projecting higher for their mean projection and both their ceiling projection to Brock Purdy there. Anyways, if we're just kind of thinking through how these games play, like most likely outcome is the Giants score the most points on the slate, right? How those points are scored are not necessarily through the offense, but I tend to think they were pretty balanced in week 1, and then they were super run heavy in week 2. I don't think that was necessarily a matchup thing versus the Rams. I think that was more just like hey, we can take it to an opponent that is inferior to us. And I kind of see more of the same tonight. And it's led me to thinking through, how do we attack the Sunday night game in a logical manner, but then encapsulate the offensive touchdowns from this game? So for me, it's been a lot of naked Danny Dimes or skinny stacked with Waller. Waller had the coming out party last week when Daboll started calling plays again. But if everybody recalls, Arizona has been a tight end funnel forever. Like, as long as I can remember, the tight end versus Arizona has been a narrative, and that's what they exploited. So I hope it carries over this week, and this beautiful 21% target share continues for Darren Waller this week. I'm not as optimistic as maybe some of his projections are right now. Anyways, when I'm thinking through this slate, back to like the macro level thing, most likely outcome is CMC from the Niners is the guy you need, like from that game, right? Maybe a naked Danny Dimes has a little bit of a ceiling game, or you play like the pace of the other side of that Vegas-Pittsburgh game to be better, because I just don't think the Giants show up tonight. Maybe that's just too bro science-y, but like, you give me 4 days of rest, plus the travel, plus the fact that they're without Saquon, and they're going up against a team that has allowed the second least amount of rushing yards per game. I'll go ahead and bring that up so I'm not completely talking out of my ass. Fourth least, but they're tied with the third in Cleveland there. It just doesn't set up for like a good spot, especially when you can't even pinpoint who the back is or who the primary pass catchers are. So I've kind of just been fading it and been like, I run this through Dimes and Waller, and then I do either onslaughts with San Francisco, or I run San Francisco through the run game because I think they're going to be up, and then I play the offensive weapons in the other game. Maybe a little bro sciencey, maybe a little yeah, this is true actually, Chris. Yeah, they didn't do the back and forth. We talked about this yesterday. That's my bad. I should have alluded to that they didn't do. It's just the travel I'm referring to is more just like not being at home, right? Like the fact that they're just living on the road. It changes, like, you know, their practice facilities, their routines, the stuff yeah, either way. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, I'm going to scroll through the projections here. ETR does not have Jacoby in here. Jacoby went limited practice yesterday. I think he's good. I don't know. The hit looked bad. Concussions are always like flip a coin, but I think as soon as you get a limited practice from a concussion guy early in the week, I get a little confident. So I've been doing a little more Jacoby and doing some Jimmy G double stack stuff because that offense is very condensed. I threw out a tweet this morning that it's like Trey Turner's like the least talked about third round rookie ever. Like, we're talking about from a skill possession standpoint. Like, we were talking all best ball season about all these rookie wide receivers, and nobody even uttered his name. Like, you know, we were going deep in the well trying to find like breakout rookies, and nobody even uttered his name. I just find it interesting. I have one Hunter Renfrow share, but I'm kind of steering clear of it because I am playing it like Jacoby's coming back, and I don't think you gain much leverage by playing him because you can just swap to him if Jacoby's not out. And if Jacoby's in, I don't really want him. So that's kind of what I've been doing. The one I wanted to bring up here while talking Raiders pass attack was Wilkerson, who ran 72% of routes last week. He didn't see a single target. And if we do go by the thought process that targets are earned, that is not a good thing for his prospects as a player. But I mean, if we are touchdown hunting and Jacoby does not go, I don't know. Why not, right? That seems like a better late round dart than just trying to catch lightning in a bottle with one of the backup running backs from the Vegas side. That's kind of where I'm at, because I just see Jacobs just dominating all the workload there. Let's pop back to the projections for a second, because I want to talk about a couple other outliers. We talked about it yesterday. Man, George Pickens' route tree looked completely different in a game without Deontay Johnson. It gave you like a little bit of hope there. And then we talked about how if you're playing the Pittsburgh side, if you're playing the other game environment, who would you pull from this game environment? So if I'm onslaught stacking the Giants and or Niners, preferably the Niners, who would I pluck from this game environment to go into those builds? I think it still has to be Najee. Warren feels like a better option if you're building like Raiders and then looking for the run back, because he'll be out there in trailing sets. He'll be out there in the pass game, the 2-minute drill, blah, blah, blah. So if you're thinking through narratives of how we're going to play these game environments, Warren for me has been tethered to, if I'm playing that game environment, Najee has been like a one-off from said game environment if I'm playing the other game environment. Right, wrong, I don't know. It's just things I'm thinking through right now. Alluded to it yesterday that Elijah Mitchell is my favorite leverage play on the slate. Another one there, Ayuk limited practice 3 straight days. They could just look at it and be like, hey, we're 10.5 point favorites at home. Why risk it? Let's just save this guy's shoulder, which opens the door for who you're going to swap for Ayuk. And for me, it's going to be Juwan Jennings. And I think there's a little bit of leverage in getting over the field on him right now and like making that bet early. But most of the drafts he's going undrafted anyways, so he'll probably just become the primary swap for a lot of people there who do set their swap rankings. If you don't set swap rankings, it's going to turn into a giant player. It's going to turn into most likely a giant wide receiver. So if I'm setting my swap rankings right now in the hypothetical scenario in which Ayuk is out, it's Breida number 1, because if you're drafting early, Breida wasn't necessarily going in every single draft. It's Breida 1, it's Juwan Jennings 2, and then if you want and then it'd be Wan'Dale Robinson for me, because you want to go beneath the default ranked Giants guys, in my opinion. So that's where I'm at with that. Other scroll the F down guys whom I have got to so far, I have 1 or 2 shares of Eric Gray. If we are looking at that Giants backfield, though I don't love the situation, actually I'll pull up a good tweet that I saw today from Zachary here, just highlighting the opportunities since 2020 when Matt Breida has gotten more than 10 looks here. Nothing crazy, but nothing to turn your nose up at either. Just kind of nice little bit of context, I guess, for how he has fared. Breida's small. Eric Gray's small. Like Eric Gray's like 5'9", 209, something like that. Breida's 5'8", 198, maybe something. If you're touchdown hunting from the Giants side, I think it's Brightwell at the goal line. I think if you're looking for the Pierre Strong of this game, I think it's Brightwell. Whether I'm right or wrong on that, that's how I'm playing it. Yeah, I think Eric Gray might low-key be the most talented of the bunch. He balled out as a senior last year, at Oklahoma. I actually have his pull this one up. He in his first year at Tennessee, that might be a little small for you guys, huh? In his first year at Tennessee, it was him and Ty Chandler, and Ty Chandler actually like worked over him a good deal. And then there was a flippening in his second year at Tennessee. Yeah, I think 2020 COVID year where the SEC came back before everywhere else because the SEC and God loves football. But yeah, that was a weird year. And then they both transferred, if I'm not mistaken. They both transferred after that 2020 year. And then he ends up in Oklahoma. And then he has a monster senior year as kind of like the feature guy with the 1,300 yards there. Yeah, if you go ahead and look up, I'll just do it because I'm here. If you look up Brightwell, it's not nearly as inspiring. He played 4 years at Arizona. He's the bigger of the two. He's a 6th round draft pick. Feels like big body goal line guy to me, but that's just low key looking at box scores and stuff like that. I've never seen Brightwell play I never saw Brightwell play in college. I mean, I might have accidentally seen him, but I don't recall him. Let's say that. Yeah. Anyways, so Eric Gray as like a potential outlier to be the break the slate back from the other side, but in a matchup with a low total, and just I think there's better flex options in the 6th round. Even if you're touchdown hunting, and if I'm touchdown hunting, I'd rather go the Brightwell route. Not touching the Vegas backfield outside of Josh Jacobs right now. That's the way I'm playing it. I have been ranking the Giants wide receivers, Slayton, then Wandell, actually. And then, well, I guess if you want to include Waller, it goes Waller, Slayton, and then Wandell. I've just been, let's take some shots at this. But if you're looking for break the slate potential guy, I mean, he only got 6% of, he only got targeted on 6% of his routes last week, and he doesn't play nearly as much as the rest of them. But like Jalen Hyatt, just track star, stretch the field. If you're looking for, hey, this is 2-game slate, I'm looking for the MVS type, the better in best ball, the ship a GPP guy. You can do worse in the 6th round. So I would actually say that I would prefer to take he only saw a 6% target share there on 27% of routes. That might even go down with Wendell coming back. And this is not a given that Robinson's back. I will say that they've changed from a Q to a P on the slate. There's been positive reports from the same guy who reported that Barkley was out early, Giants beat guy. So it's a trustworthy source as to whatever, but there's still, a little bit of haze there, right? Paris Campbell, for me, I think he will be the one who takes the biggest hit to Wandell coming back. So that's where I've been kind of playing it there, and being like some of those slot snaps then go his way. But you could see a path for him just being like the low ADOT guy, where it's like, get it out of my hand quickly because we're under pressure all damn night. But it's really hard to pick. This Giants receiver situation feels a lot similar to the Panthers receiver situation on the last showdown slate that we played, the last 2-gamer we played. It feels very similar, where it's like, yeah, whack-a-mole, but if you nail Adam Thielen, you might win the slate. But do you just want him as a one-off in your builds in the 6th round? I don't know. I think there's better scroll options. I think there's even better scroll options for a guy like me who loves to scroll. Calvin Austin, again, for the 2nd week in a row, is projecting higher than Allen Robinson in ETR stuff. For what it's worth, he's ran more routes. He looks faster. If you just go like Bro Science eye test, he looks faster. But he had 88 in the first game, 78 the next one, and then you saw this boost for Calvin Austin. Though he didn't do anything really with it, you did see him have the higher target share and the higher routes run percentage in the 2nd week there. Yeah. Macro thoughts. I'm trying to think through any other ones. Oh, we talked about tight end yesterday. prioritizing tight end on this slate feels really important. Just getting ahead at the Waller or Kittle, because like they both have like slate breaking upside where they are like the guy you need at the onesie. I mean, Freiermuth to a lesser extent, we haven't seen it yet, and he had one catch and fell into the end zone in the first game, and then he had one catch in the second game but didn't fall into the end zone. Yeah, I mean, I'm prioritizing these three, and I don't want to really get froze out. If I do get froze out, I'm Hooper over Mayer right now. Just need to see it before I see it kind of thing. And then if I'm doing the scroll the F down, we noted in the chat before last showdown slate, the Connor Hayward A-dot narrative, but I haven't gone that far yet. I've been doing the Bellinger one. But my favorite extreme scroll the F downs right now, Christian Wilkerson, just because the routes were there and maybe they just trust him to be on the field. And if Jacoby doesn't go, he'll be a super low owned leverage, but I'm basically only playing it as a stack option. And then the other one for me is Bell. I've taken Bell twice, I think. Ronnie Bell's just like a pure absolute dart, and that's like if Ayuk doesn't go, everyone swaps to Juwan Jennings. Let's catch lightning in a bottle with like Ray McLeod or Ronnie Bell. And it was actually Ronnie Bell who was playing more out of the two. I'll bring up the utility report at the wide receiver position here. Ronnie Bell with 25% of snaps, Ray McLeod with only 8. The thing that Ray introduces to the slate is in the past, they haven't been afraid to just randomly give him like a jet sweep or something like that. Especially if they're leading by a good amount and they're kind of limiting Debo. But I mean, you're literally trying to encapsulate 2 touches for like 36 yards. He would literally have to house like a jet sweep to matter. So these are extreme scroll the F down, just throwing them out there kind of guys. But man, we just saw on a showdown slate how crazy you could get. Like nobody did it in the main contest, and maybe it's because it was drafted primarily before we got the Miller and Amari news, but nobody did Tony Jones and Ford in the same lineup. Not a single person in whatever it was. I think it was 18 or 15,000 person contest. So, I mean, I'm not necessarily advocating for it. It's a super abnormal slate, but like this is the gal brain shit you kind of got to think through in terms of, unique combinations to create 1% lineups in our draft-based game. I'm going to go ahead and click this one. I have done none of the second one yet. All my volume thus far has been in the first one. And admittedly, I'm probably only going to do like 1 or 2 of these on stream, and then I'm going to go ahead and do BR stuff. I got my volume for the Thursday, Sunday in the initial bigger of the 2 contests. Crash Rich, really good player. Always seeing his name nearing the top of the leaderboard. I think this is our first one we've done together for the showdown slate thus far. So be interested to see where he is at. But most of these drafts look the exact same. I think if someone obtains a McCaffrey plus Adams, it's going to be thrown out. I would not be overly concerned about that. I can paint logical narratives to how certain combinations happen on almost every showdown slate. And I'm a proponent of never throw out drafts. I've said this so many times, but the nature of it is I never throw out drafts with the asterisks. If there's clear collusion, blah, 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 it has to be thrown out. But with the 1% rule and just like thinking logically through this draft board, I do not see a logical path in which Devontae Adams and Christian McCaffrey could ever be paired. I think there might be a path where Christian McCaffrey and Josh Jacobs could be paired, or if Brandon Ayuk didn't have the Q tag, maybe a McCaffrey plus Debo could be paired. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not overly scared of like that quote unquote super team, because if those two somehow make it together, it would literally like have to be 3 quarterbacks roll off the board with non-Badgers, and then the guy here pairs it together. I just don't see it happening. Okay. For me, I have not been able to obtain this very much. It's kind of a low key gift when someone goes quarterback there, because the chalk start is for quarterback to still be on the board here, and either Debo or Jacobs go there. In my whatever it was, 40 or 50 of the first contest, I think I have this pairing once. So that's a pretty unique one to get, especially on stream there to start. And yeah, I don't know. Hopefully something funky falls back our way here, and then actually knowing that we're gonna do low volume. E-Rock's going a little bit rogue with his selections here, so we might find our way into a unique super team here on stream. Fuck. That's like the one thing we didn't want to happen. If he goes double tap tight end there, it's just like the worst way for us to get a super team. But this is legit. This is a good spot for us. I don't want to get froze out at tight end. I kind of want to run Danny Dimes naked here. I think these are probably two pretty easy clicks for me right here. And then we might have to mix in a Danny Dimes pass catcher here, or we'll take a shot on something extreme like touchdown hunting from one of the backfields, aka Giants backfield. But let's see what happens here. This is a very unique draft to see the double tap a tight end here, to see the three piss boys start here, and then just seeing the Burita plus Jacoby plus whatever. Hooper goes here, which is interesting. Interesting of note, whether it's just this build or it's a in totality thing, that Crash Rich actually went Warren over Najee there. So we shall see. I mean, he's a volume player managing his portfolio and thinking through ways. Wow, this is a weird draft, guys. Najee came all the way back to us, so we're gonna just go ahead and click Najee's name. You can make a case for like the Elijah Mitchell one, but like just the raw projectable volume of like Najee in this build, just we low-key found our way into a super team here. Now the big question is, do we stack with Danny Dimes? And given the fact that we got no other giant, I think we might have to here. And I think we're going to do a little bit of the scroll down and just take one of these two and be like, hey, are we going to break the slate, or are we going to go, raw roll and comes back to like the end of last year when Wandell had like 13 targets. So granted, a lot of the guys were out at that point, but still, let's take Wandell and see what happens here. I don't have a team that looks very similar to that in the first contest. I'd say that's top 80th, maybe 90th percentile build in terms of raw projections. Yeah, never scroll. I mean, that was interesting. We just got fed the super chalk one there. Yeah, this is good. So Eric Gray could pull a Jonas. Great. Yeah, it's true. Miles Boykin definitely in play, baby. Actually, I was low-key in on Miles Boykin when he came out, and then the Baltimore stuff, and I don't know. I was low-key in on Miles Boykin. Very interesting draft board. We're going to have to run that one back for sure here and see what we end up with, because that was a very, very interesting board. There you go. Carlos saying didn't even get a CMC Debo. Yeah, okay. So Carlos, did you do max entry for this already for the first original contest? For those of you who don't know, Carlos is you won't even know on the site. Whatever. UEONO. I butchered it all last year, every single time. But like the song, anyways, and he had some really good success in these 2 gamers, so always gave him his flowers. This is interesting. Johnny Football's chiming in that Aaron Jones is practicing. That is pretty huge. My very first one that I did for the Miami contest, I took him in the last round there. So I was kind of hoping for that. Yeah. You don't even know. I know the song. I know how it's supposed to be. I stumble over it every single time. Okay, you did 57 of them, and the closest you came was CMC Jacobs. Okay, CMC Jacobs is, I didn't get a CMC Jacobs, so I was 1 pick away from getting one, and I was 1 pick away from giving one up too. Okay, so for me, this has actually been Jacobs, and I'll drop my little nugget that we talked through last week in the BRs with the Debo stuff, the Debo versus Ayuk. Ayuk's the guy who kills man coverage, and Debo's the guy who kills zone coverage. And the Giants ran the highest rate of man coverage in all of football last year. So I was gravitating towards the Ayuk and Ayuk play narrative. Let's go ahead and get ahead at tight end and see what comes back to us, and take Kittle and just be like, that game runs through not CMC and runs through Kittle and someone else. See what happens here. Be interested to hear other people's thoughts on like Chris's decision here when both the tight ends go in front, because do you go ahead and prioritize like Freiermuth and not want to get froze out? Do you risk it and let it go, or do you do like Purdy plus CMC? Like that's an interesting decision too, because obviously we know he's, prolific pass catching, greatest pass catching running back ever probably. But traditionally speaking, like people shy away from pass catching running back and quarterback stacks a little too much. I've been trying to take it when I get it, but I can definitely make a case for, hey, like either of the quarterbacks there. Purdy goes there, which is a little unfortunate to us because I was trying to set up a little Purdy Kittle on the way back here. Thinking through some combos here. Okay. Let's do the Danny Dimes one. I don't know if we're gonna end up backstacking this. We're gonna get scrolling here though. Interesting. Warren goes there. Okay, so this team for me really wants the fact that I have. Man, it's so bad to pass on Ayuk here, but I want to do something weird. Okay, we're taking Elijah Mitchell here. And we're just going to go like, because I'm thinking through the path of how this lineup wins, and Danny Dimes needs to be pushed. So San Francisco needs to score points, right? Like that's the thought process here. So how is San Francisco going to score those points if we don't have Purdy, we don't have CMC, and we don't have Debo? Well, we're going to need Elijah Mitchell to score on the ground, and we're going to need Kittle, because I don't see a path in which the 49ers score less than 24 points tonight. 20? Like that would be like what's a floor game for them tonight, right? Okay. Jennings comes. We scroll in here. Okay, this might turn into. Okay, let's go break the slate with Hyatt. He scores on a 80-yard track meet bomb. Okay, cool. And then let's go with the Christian Wilkerson thing. And we just go, he still plays over Hunter Renfrow. Nobody drafts him. And Jacoby doesn't play too early in the week to know definitively. Wilkerson makes good on his 80% of routes. There you go. I bailed everybody out with a scroll the fuck down to save the day. There you go. Now you can see one of the gross teams that I actually build for real in the comfort of my own home. And you guys can redact all of these fraudulent statements. All these fraudulent statements are gone now. Here you go. Got a Jacobs Debo. Yeah, I mean, I think that might have been my first. That was pretty good. Jones, Adams, Ayuk, Waller, Rada, Slayton. Yeah, that's a really solid team. I wonder if something like that gets duped, though. I mean, I think we give it too much in our mind that certain ones get duped, right? Interesting to see that Crash Rich went the Brightwell, right? I kind of stayed in this draft when he was boxed out where all three players all had two running backs here. He went ahead and took Brightwell with the fall in the end zone one there. I was curious whether he would go Brightwell or Eric Gray with his last pick. So I wanted to stick around and see that. Yeah, two very interesting polar opposite drafts back to back there. We kind of gave Crash Rich a bit of a super four-way start there, but not something that's like unobtainable. I actually have a team where Ayuk fell to the 6th because everybody was scared of the Q tag, and that's probably my best team. I tweeted it earlier, but yeah, that's all I got for the 2-game slate. Very interesting one. Just summary spark notes of I'm playing it pretty heavily through San Fran rush attack, and I have done it through CMC and Elijah paired together. I think that might be like the leverage piece you need, 3 touchdowns between those two, and none of the other running backs on the slate get home, or maybe Jacobs gets home, but not to the same effect that CMC does. Jacobs is my highest owned player. Kittle ended up being my highest owned tight end. I think that was draft spot dependent. Even though I think I prefer Waller ever so slightly over him, but it's a flip a coin one there. I think if you told me that Ayuk was out right now, I would flip those two in my ranks, but I had them side by side in my ranks anyways there. I think I had Waller ahead simply because you could pair him with Jones easier than I could pair Purdy with Kittle. And in a vacuum, I kind of like Jones's outs to being the top scoring quarterback slightly more than Purdy's, because without the goal line plunge touchdown, Purdy's pretty reliant on the other weapons to get it done, right? And then also the fact that I was playing so much Elijah Mitchell leverage in my mind that I was kind of like, well, if Purdy rushes in a touchdown from the goal line, I'm dead anyways. I should just be aping in on Daniel Jones. So just thinking through the portfolio in its entirety there. But that kind of summarizes where we're at on the 2-gamer. Let's jump into the BR stuff. Let's talk through. I was going to do kind of like a game-by-game thought, because I did an interesting exercise this morning. I asked Nez and Neumy, I said, without looking right now, what game has the second highest total on the slate, right? Everybody's looking at this 12-game slate. Everybody's aping in on Chargers, Vikings, and rightfully so, 6 points higher than any other game on the slate, blah, blah, blah. And I said, what game has the second highest total? And you would think Indianapolis and Baltimore you would throw out there. They threw out the Jacksonville, Tennessee one. They threw out Lions, Falcons one. And then they obviously threw out Bears, Chiefs. Well, in actual fact, it's the Miami game with Denver, and nobody's touching Denver. And Jerry Jeudy is popping in the ETR stuff right now, comparatively. I think they're giving him the full allotment of routes back. I think the pitch count that he was allegedly on last week is no longer, and then that game plays through that. So I'm trying to think of some contrarian ways to get to the second best game environment that's going underdrafted right now. And Russell Wilson, I think it was Daigle. I think it was Daigle on the recap show on Sunday night said something really smart about Russell Wilson, that ever since Nathaniel Hackett's been gone, he's been a top 12 quarterback in every start but one, I think. I think it was something to that effect. I don't want to misquote him or misattribute, but I was watching the Sunday night recap show there, and something to that effect. Yeah, I mean, like Jerry Jeudy was on a snap count, on a pitch count, and he still played 86% of the routes. Actually, it's just sidebar, really, really funny how we talk about like football guy culture and talk about like how unsharp some teams are because they deal so much more heavily with like the locker room dynamics and who fits on this team and who are my guys and who works hard, like the shit that we don't know. It's just funny to routinely see like Brandon Johnson, Lil Jordan Humphreys, and Adam Troutman all getting work for Sean Payton. Right? Like Sean Payton comes over and he goes, oh yeah, well, we need like second tier guys on this team. They're not going to impact the stars necessarily, but like, I'm just bringing my guys. Right. And it's funny how like low key, every team and coach, like it's like this brotherhood of you really get a sense of it when you're watching like shows like Hard Knocks and that sort of stuff, that like the camaraderie within the league that the spreadsheet guys don't pick up on or even know about. It exists to like a very high level, and we instantly see it with like Lil Jordan Humphreys, 68% of routes in the first one. Brandon Johnson was 60% of routes there, and then everyone in their dog in our community was like, oh, Marvin Mims, he's gonna perfect replacement for the KJ Hamler role, perfect setup there, and like he comes out and it's only like 14% of routes, 27% of routes. I mean, him and Jalen Hyatt are in very similar situations right now. It's pretty funny to juxtapose those two. But anyways, just a long-winded way of saying I kind of think getting to the Broncos isn't crazy this week. We saw the Chargers have some success through the air and on the ground there. Hey, shout out Hockey Hooligan, new member. Love to see it. Appreciate you, Ben. Yeah, big puck guy. We'll be mixing in some puck soon. Yeah, this is a good point from GA. It's like coaches, when they have players that know the playbook from their previous regime, right? Yeah, that's good. Yeah, appreciate you, Carlos. Good luck tonight, man. Good luck. All right, let's jump back to the overarching game. So I'm just kind of thinking through. We did kind of like a macro view yesterday. We did a marathon show. We're gonna do a little bit more with Pete. Pick Pete's brain tomorrow. What kind of the games they're in on? But as Neumy alluded to in the chat, something that might potentially break the slate here is this tropical cyclone. Not a meteorologist. Don't know what's up with this, but looking like a direct hit on Sunday for these East Coast games here. Kind of nerve-wracking. I'm not sure how I'm going to react to it just yet. Maybe it's just as simple as moving digs like behind two other game environments, but I wasn't really touching this Jets New England one anyways. But it could really introduce some weird stuff with swaps if these games get moved, because we've seen stuff like this in the past where if a game does get moved, it doesn't count to the slate. It's treated as like a postponement or a rain delay or something like that. And that's with baseball. I don't necessarily know what the ruling for football would be. I imagine it would be the exact same. But yeah, anyways, just thinking through how it might impact these games. They could do something extreme, like flip a home and a road game, and like Baltimore goes to Indy and they play inside instead. Maybe, I don't know if they would go that far, but it probably still wouldn't take place on Sunday. But it has me a little shook. And if we look at the combinatorial ownership here, I have this one pulled up. Lamar Andrews, granted only 34 draft sample so far. Chad's going to update later here, but 47% of the time paired together, and it feels like a great spot. We talked about how much we loved it. This stack may never be cheaper, and this might blow up on us. I'm not getting carried away yet, and like now all of a sudden fading Andrews or fading the spot. A lot of times weather is overblown, and we've talked about it in the past, how like rain can affect, but not to the effect in which we always give it credit. Anyways, not an expert, right? But 25 miles per hour, or it's actually 22.3 or something like that. Mark alludes to being like the big pivotal point for wind in a game, and we don't know which way that wind's going to come. Presumably with like a cyclone coming off the east coast like this, the wind will be blowing west or whatever. The alignment of the stadium matters then too, to see the impact in which wind affects the game. Like you obviously want tailwind instead of crosswind and blah blah blah, but this is Sunday morning shit. I don't want to get too gal brain with it right now, other than to say let's put this on everybody's radar. Let's just look at what, Roth did it for baseball, and he's just saying, look at the chances of rain in New York City. Like, it looks awful. He's thinking that they're going to postpone baseball games in New York City on Sunday. So why wouldn't the Jets game potentially be a washout or be raining heavily there? It's already the lowest total game on the slate, and nobody was getting there to begin with. It makes me want it even less, right? So I think biggest takeaway right now is I'm basically Xing out Jets New England. I did allude to the fact that I kind of liked Brees as a one-off, or I kind of liked Ramondre as a one-off. I think there's other better places to go now. And then with the Buffalo stuff, I was building some Allen Diggs and building Allen Gabe, and Kincaid is most likely going to be cash game chalk on Redacted site at like, I think he's like 3,400 or 3,500. If we get no Dawson Knox not practicing right now and has the Q tag on the site, I'm probably just moving Diggs down like 3 spots, and if we go ahead and bring up like ADP, that's kind of like my double condom Nez hedge by just moving Diggs behind, Hawkinson, Allen, and Ridley. That's probably as extreme as I'm going to get with it as of now. But just want to put it out there for everybody. Just be mindful of it, and whatever those totals, as we track them over the course of the week, those totals might be coming down. I mean, look at this. The Jets one is already down. It started at 38. We're at 36.5. Like, that is an ugly ball game with presumably 2 good defenses on both sides, and with the outlying risk that it may not play. Anyways, makes me like the Lions game a little bit more, right? Yeah. You are listening to... Are we listening? No, we're listening to the Knight Rider. Or are you just referring to my meteorology report in general there? We got to talk about this Saints-Packers game just for a second, because it's one of the closer games on the slate. For competitive game environment's sake, I think that kind of matters. It's not a game that I've been getting to a lot, but if we do get Aaron Jones after the practice today, that's a good thing. They have on ETR, they have AJ Dillon absolutely popping. I don't know if it's ported over DFS where they like the price point and the opportunity and blah blah blah, or if he literally just is in a really good spot. I don't know. Miles Sanders didn't fare too well in that spot last week. But anyways, Christian Watson practiced in a limited capacity yesterday and then downgraded today. And something evergreen that if you've ever watched the show, you've heard me talk about midweek downgrades, especially after a guy has missed a couple days. I've kind of X'd Christian Watson out of my player pool at this point, and maybe make him like a swap option late if we get good news on Saturday or Sunday. But kind of Xing that one out. But the bullish Aaron Jones makes me want to ignore the ranking of AJ Dillon right now and start taking some 6th round Aaron Jones as that Q tag. You want to talk about a ceiling outcome player. We've already seen him break one slate this year. And if this matchup is as good as ETR is alluding to with the AJ Dillon ranking, well, now you put an actually talented player in place of AJ Dillon, and imagine what that looks like. Maybe on this slate, Aaron Jones is looking like RB 7 through 9, like somewhere in that range, almost interchangeable with Jahmyr Gibbs. Just something to think through there. Maybe making some mini stacks with Olave. Michael Thomas also going damn near undrafted. If you get the Jair Alexander treatment, and then all of a sudden Michael Thomas becomes the guy you need over here. And then the Kendre one. The Kendre one's interesting just to talk through, because there's probably no better time to showcase him or to see what you have in him than a game with Tony Jones Jr. They already have cut. The Saints have cut Tony Jones Jr. in the past. They know exactly what they have in Tony Jones Jr. He was a byproduct of right guy, right time last game, and I think they're well aware of what they have there. Taysom popped up on the injury report yesterday. I don't think it's a real thing. I think Taysom will be fine, good to go. Taysom package of, it's unfortunate he's not playable on this slate because I'd be taking a lot of them here. But at the quarterback position, you just can't. But anyways, I could see myself getting to some Kendrick, but I think it's more in the 12 teamers. But there might be some leverage there if he finds his way to like 15 plus touches here. Ken Walker, Justin Fields is going to break a slate. He's going to break a slate. I don't know if it's this week, if it's next week, if it's the week after that. Chiefs defense has been low key good. All right. This is a 48-point total, but we're talking about a team that doesn't have their defensive coordinator. They have no idea who they're going to play at running back on a week-to-week basis, and they're going to be without Darnell Mooney, most likely, so that they're facing, right? And the Chiefs' defense has been good. We wanted that shootout last week, and they held what? They held the Jags to under 10 points, something like that, in terms of points per game. Casey's only given up 15 points per game, and majority of those were given up to the Lions in the first game when the Lions scored whatever it was, 21, 23, whatever it was that they won that game with, right? This defense might be okay. Like, this defense might be good with Chris Jones wreaking havoc back there, man. Like, if you don't think Chris Jones is getting 2 sacks this week with Justin Fields back there, I mean, you're kidding yourself. I mean, if we could find a little pick 'em for Jones. Actually, that'd be an interesting one. Actually, while we're on the pick'ems tab, I cannot do it on here. If you update your iOS, there are the spicy pick'ems available. Really cool. Up to 1000x. Did I hear that right? 1000x, 100x, something like that. I can't access them in Canada, so I don't actually know. I know Nez posted one. If you guys feel like tailing, he has the link up there. Let's see this for a second. That's right. Chris Jones. Pusher. There you go. See if he wins at Texas this weekend, huh? Yeah. Okay, cool. Interesting nugget from Brett Boy here. I appreciate it. Justice Hill missing another one. I've just written Justice Hill off in my mind. I've mixed in a little Gus Edwards. We did on stream yesterday in the 12-1. I am a little skittish that the signing and elevation of Kenyon Drake impedes some of the potential for Gus bust there. But just good notes here. I don't know. The weather is really throwing me off that game, but it does make Zay Flowers, it does make Rashad Bateman, it does make Gus Bus and Mark Andrews even more appealing there if we throw it out the window, right? Sven suggesting this is not the week, but maybe the Fields game's coming. And there we go. Thank you. The max is 100x. Thank you, Evan. Thank you, Brett. I can't see it, but if you pair 5 of those spicy pickups together, you can get that multiplier up to 100x opposed to 20x for the usual pairing of 5 together. I mean, like, that's just, I'd just be taking shots 100%. Like, they're not even like outlandish things. Like, I saw one of them was like a Mike Evans touchdown. Like, Mike Evans has been balling, man. Like, just go ahead and take that higher and see what happens. I mean, not financial advice to, like, shell out the bank account and take a second mortgage and do something like that with it, but throw a couple shekels on that instead of an extra BR entry. Absolutely. Okay. I want to pull up the rankings. This has been one huge thing for me this week, that has been maybe not different than other weeks past, but one big thing for me is I cannot get away from these 4 off the top of the board in Jefferson, Hill, Kelsey, and Pollard. I don't care which way you you rank them, to be honest. I will tell you that ETR actually currently has it ranked like that with Kelsey at the front. My personal merging of projections and my stuff actually has it ranked like that. Jefferson, Pollard, Kelsey, Hill. It's scary, man. It's scary to be an implied fade of Tyreek Hill, but mixing and matching these top 4 over and over again, I want exposure to all of them because they are all in amazing spots with amazing team totals with decent game environments, right? Decent. I say decent because I like the competitive game environment more so than the game environment where they're 13-point favorites, i.e. the Chiefs. But yeah, just saying that. And then for me, there's a tier that includes the 2 tight ends. It includes Calvin Ridley. It includes Keenan Allen. It includes Bijan CD. Diggs to a little bit lesser extent. That's my hedge with the weather there. And then Mike Williams for me. Mike Williams I like right now. Amon-Ra practicing today is big, though. Amon-Ra practicing today is big, but I have seen some GMs. I think Nick had one where I saw the draft board where Amon-Ra's Q tag made him fall all the way to the 5th. So just know that exists out there. But honestly, you could probably throw ATN in this. Sorry. Outside of these 14 players, everyone else on the rest of the slate, I will scroll every which way. I will come up with unique combinations after that. But like for me, I'm going to rank these 14. I'm going to have these 14 at the set. If I can somehow get 3 of these 14 in a lineup every single time, I will do it every single time and chase that GM with these. But then outside of these 14, I'm getting crazy, man. I'm going to the Buccaneers game the Broncos game. Like I alluded to, like I'm going with that Russ Skinny stack a little bit. I'm going Javonte in that spot. We saw the Chargers just absolutely feast on the ground versus Miami. Why can't it just be the Javonte week? 2 weeks back after the knee, here we go. He's fully ready. 80% snap share. Let's get him. I mean, he would have had a really nice line last week if he had been the guy that scored the touchdown. Instead, the rookie scored the touchdown. Yeah. Anyways, just thinking out loud through this one game environment I like there. I've alluded to how much I like the Texans one. I like doing the little CJ Stroud mini here. Do it with Robert Woods. Do it with Tank Dell. Everyone and their dog is going to have Nico Collins involved in their stuff. Another big scroll for me, the Minnesota leverage, KJ Osborne, man. As Jordan Addison gets steamed like this, do I think he's a more talented player? Yes. Do I think he could break a slate? Yes. Do I think KJ Osborne could get into the end zone twice and be the forgotten guy on the slate who wins this slate as your 3rd wide receiver? Absolutely. That does not mean anything that Jordan Addison is not a better play, a better projection, a better everything. Jordan Addison is everything better than KJ Osborne other than potentially his snap count. But you got to find different paths to those game environments, right? I've been taking a lot of Joshua Kelly from that same game. I alluded to that the other day. Jerome Ford, we just had this exact same spot with Joshua Kelly last week, and it didn't come to fruition. A little bit scared about Kareem Hunt coming in there, but not enough so to completely X him out of the player pool. He is going to most likely be cash game chalk on the redacted site. So he's a guy you're going to want some 6th-round exposure to, like the just in case, that sort of deal. Tight end, we alluded to Zach Ertz earlier in the week. Just the volume is undeniable. You want to find a play in terms of like, hey, everybody's going to the game environment, but nobody's going to the player. Isaiah Pacheco. I'm not seeing Isaiah Pacheco go much. We're talking about a team that is a home 13-point favorite here against a team that doesn't have a defensive coordinator. Isaiah Pacheco in the 6th round just feels like theft. Yeah, I mean, you can even run that game through that and then run Fields back on the other side, get a little cheeky with it in certain ways like that. Let's put this into practice. Let's just go ahead and jump right in on one of these bad boys. already at 40-something percent full there. You love to see it. Here's a good shout from Nick Oliver Kincaid. Yeah, I mean, the Kincaid narrative is strong right now. Kincaid Hive is strong. The wild card. Let's see this. Okay. Mike Williams, Waller, Josh Reynolds, and Addison touchdown plus Andrews. Yup. I mean, the Reynolds one, we talked about the Reynolds narrative. Like, Reynolds is going to be involved no matter what. Yeah. The Waller one, I guess the Waller one's the thinnest one, and he could still see 8 targets tonight, especially if they're trailing and chasing. And we saw it. This is actually just one little caveat on the Thursday Sunday slate, is we saw the Giants get their doors blown off already. We saw them get their doors blown off in week 1. And what did they do? They left all the starters out there, 40-0 in the fourth quarter, and all the starters were out there. Yeah, I mean, if something crazy like that happens again, because we've seen 2 iterations. We've seen 2 iterations of the Giants this year so far, right? Like, we have seen them get their doors blown off in multiple instances, and then we've seen their comeback and offensive ceiling potential, right? So, yeah, I don't know if they turn out more to be the former of like get your doors blown off type, they might just leave the starters out there to keep playing. So, and that's a good thing for us on that slate, right? When they're chasing points. Ooh, this is spicy. OG saying upset of the week. Washington beats Buffalo. Commanders money line. Interesting one. That's fun. Interesting. Carlos saying that they had the spicy ones yesterday in the Champions League, and 2 of them hit yesterday. Zach Moss in the last round feels all right. There's a path to Gardner Minshew being cash game lock on Redacted. It's really thin. I'm not sure you need the savings, but there's a path to it where that could be the case on another site, and porting some of that knowledge over here. You could do worse. The opportunity share, man, like Sam Sherman was hyping on it. The opportunity share that Zach Moss is seeing right now, like, it just doesn't come around in the modern NFL. I saw this B Robinson. I was like, whoa, Brian Robinson in the first. Wow, we are scrolling. We see 2 of the tight ends go. This is becoming the new norm. I mean, like, ETR moves markets, man. And I think the Spike Week rankings looked kind of similar, where both the tight ends were both inside the top, or all 3 tight ends were inside the top 12, as we alluded to on us liking on the show yesterday. And now the market is seeing similar from other places and going ahead and pushing those tight ends up. So kind of getting froze out here. Ooh, Keenan Allen falling to 12 would have been fun for us. We could do the Mike Williams thing and game stack that. But I think we want to take Ridley for sure. And then be interested to look at the combo sheet here and just go ahead and put Jefferson and Mike Will in. I bet you it's like 26. Only 11 so far. Interesting. All right, let's do it. Trusty old combo sheet. I alluded to this earlier in the week. I do much prefer the scroll options at the running back position, comparative. One big macro one I wanted to talk about this week that I've been thinking through a lot right now. The Discord was having some really good discourse this morning on just in terms of like projected points over like average or something like that. I don't know how to. That's probably a fine way to word it. Like, think about WAR in baseball, like wins over replacement, and then thinking about that applicable to projections of certain players over other players in this pool. So doing your rankings based on the fact that, like, hey, Kelsey is worth 6 points more than Mark Andrews, whereas like Justin Jefferson is only worth like 1.5 more than Tyreek Hill. Thus, Kelsey is the 101 comparatively, right? Like positional scarcity matched with projection ranking. Let's call it that, for instance. Really got me thinking about raw points and where we can find raw points late. And raw points late are going to come from scroll the F down, running back, and wide receivers, most likely, right? A little bit more so than the elite onesie guys, because we're pushing the onesie guys up, right? So what I've been thinking in terms of this is almost always, I think this is going to be the number one week in terms of which I think it's going to be the number one week in which I tether my tight end to my quarterback, even when I have the elite ones. But I think this is going to be like a thing for me, because trying to thread the needle on tight end feels tough when the quarterback of an elite tight end is most likely also being drafted really high. So that's where my brain's going. I think most people would take Cousins here and be like, hey, we got that from the game environment. Let's put Cousins on there. We got a lot of nice receivers here available, but we can't take. Let's play the Justin Fields game. Let's go. Justin Fields, guy you need. He puts up a fight. He goes, you know what? I'm sick of that media bullshit. We had to fire the coach. This is on me. I'm putting the team on my back. I'm running for that 120 and 2 scores. I don't think it's most likely to come this week comparative to weeks in the past, but we're going with that narrative. I think Joshua Kelly is my favorite running back left on the board right now for in general. I don't think he's my favorite for this team because we played it through Mike Evans already. Let's do the Isaiah Pacheco as the mini run back off of Justin Fields right now before we set up our tight end. And just go, Isaiah Pacheco is too low drafted, but we want access to a 13-point favorite who has the third highest team total, or first highest team total on the slate, third highest game total on the slate. So yeah, let's find a contrarian way to score the points in that game, because everyone wants them to funnel through Mahomes and Kelsey. Let's find a unique way to do that. Pacheco Q tag, a little scary, but I mean, when you're only doing a one-off running back like this, and I love the swap options that are available later, it's not going to kill our team if we have to swap off Pacheco and get to Zach Moss, for instance, right? Yeah, Curry. I think I wasn't necessarily in lockstep with this. I thought cost-adjusted Lamar was my favorite quarterback play on the slate prior to the weather news. The weather has me a little shook right now. Robert, I am actually not sure on this. I got to get more well-versed in the spicy pick'em stuff. I actually got... hold on one second here. I just got a message from... no, not applying to that. Okay, never mind. I had a message from someone Underdog related, and I was like, oh, maybe they're actually filling me in right now as we speak. The spicy pick'ems, they're not available in Canada, so I actually do not know. So I imagine most of the states in which allow pick'ems right now you will have access to them, but I cannot guarantee that. But if you don't see them on your phone, you're gonna have to update your app to see them show up if you're on iOS. That is the one nugget I can definitively share with everybody. Very interesting tight end slate, man. It's really condensed. It is really condensed. You see basically these 5 go every single time. Ingram is almost always the 4th one off the board. Woo, Tajay Spears action. We are scrolling. Love it. Getting unique out here. You love to see that. Yeah. So Hunter Henry, does that offense funnel through him again this week? I don't know. Juju's healthy again, or healthier than he has been. He's been a godsend to best ball teams thus far, but does he warrant tight end 6 right now? Not for me. Not against that. Not with the weather concerns, not with the low total, and not against that defense. right now for me. Kincaid is going to slowly push up. I like Nick's shout in the chat there. But I will post the question. Is no Dawson Knox actually good for Dalton Kincaid? I don't know. Like in theory, you'd be like, oh yeah, he's a tight end, 1-for-1 replacement. Like, oh, now there's not targets going toward him. At this point in time, I have Zach Ertz ranked the next highest, then Kittle, or then Kincaid. But I was setting up the Fields thing with the Pacheco thing to do exactly as I alluded to earlier, that I do want to start stacking my quarterback with my tight end at a higher frequency. And I guess I didn't finish the thought entirely. It's because I want to score raw points from higher ceiling projectors than at the tight end position. So if I'm looking for like a one-off game environment, because effectively at tight end, all we're doing outside of those elite slate break ceiling guys, aka the first 3 going in there. And I mean, you can make some bull cases for some names back here that they have slate breaking potential as well. But all we're hunting for is touchdown equity. So if I'm hunting for touchdowns, wouldn't I want that tethered to my quarterback? Is it going to be closer to optimal? Probably not, because maybe Justin Fields scores 20 points and one of those touchdowns goes to Cole Kmet, but you'd be better off with the 30 burger from Mahomes and then the raw points from Cole Kmet. Yes, in theory, it might not be closer to striving for the 6-man parlay of optimal. Do I think it gives us a cleaner path like Daniel Jones plus Waller did last week? Absolutely. So I can spin zone that narrative both ways and talk out of like both sides of my mouth with that conversation, but trying to build the best 6-leg parlay isn't necessarily like a skill, right? Like if we want to find leverage in these contests, we have to be like, hey, these mini correlations are going to pay off eventually over time comparative to what the field is doing. And I think a very sharp way of doing it right now is having a majority of your builds have your tight end tethered to your quarterback. And that even more so than just at the elites, because the elites are doing it at like a 41% clip. Mahomes Kelsey right now on the combo ownership was 41, and this is 47. But if we do the Fields and Kmet here, they're both outside of the top 36. In our sample, it's been done 0 times. So do I think Mahomes is going to score more points than Justin Fields this week? 83% of the time, yes. Do I think Mark Andrews is going to score more points than Cole Kmet this week? 89% of the time, right? But when these two pair together, tethered, that's what vaults us, right? Anyways, you guys are all smart enough to know this stuff, but just stuff I've been thinking about in terms of like raw points and stuff like that. Baseball's still going there. You had a 3-bagger Thursday sitting right in our lap right there. Oh, maybe 1 or 2 more, and then I got to take this dog out and get some lunch in me. It is 12 p.m. on the beautiful west coast of British Columbia. Yeah, here you go. CJ Stroud killed Indy, man. Yeah, I sent a tweet out about it this week that it's one of the most overlooked. If Stroud had a couple more touchdowns in the sample, I mean, he would be popping for people. But the fact that he only scored 2 touchdowns in the 2 games. He's got 626 yards or something like that passing thus far. Good for 4th in the league. And then you get a good spot against Indy this week. Maybe the total comes down a little bit if the Colts have Gardner instead of Anthony Richardson. That's probably worth 1.5 points, maybe 1 full point, something like that, in terms of like spread. And it's probably in terms of total, maybe 1.5, and then in terms of spread, maybe 1. I don't know. Yeah. Anyways, just thinking through there. Yeah, this is kind of like interesting. Yeah, this was my like thought with the Kincaid versus Knox thing, is like it doesn't matter as much as people are attributing it to be. All right, let's go ahead and take Kelsey here. Been doing Pollard over Kelsey a lot. So, breaking news from the hockey thought leader himself breaking football news for us. Bryce Young expected out. Man, he is just so effing little. He looks so damn small out there on Monday night. It's crazy, man. Like, he's smaller than me, and he's playing quarterback in the NFL. Like, that's blows my mind, man. 5'10" or 5'9", and he's like 190 something pounds. Like, line me up against him. Yeah, man. 6th round, CJ. I'm with you, Garrett. I like it, man. I like where your head's at with this one. You can definitely do worse. But as I was alluding to earlier, like, think about a contrarian path to do it too, because the majority of people are doing it. The reason they're doing it is because Nico Collins is up here, right? And Nico Collins might be a dog, man. Like, Nico Collins might be good. He might be legit good. So who knows? But yeah. We got Mahomes staring us in the face here. I've done no bully tight end stuff, no double tight end stuff on the main slate this week. I can see it. I can see it being viable. It's the first slate of the year in which we have TJ Hawkinson, Mark Andrews, and Kelsey all on the same slate. Damn, that would have been crazy if CeeDee Lamb fell there. Chris timed out, doing a little guile brain stuff there. I think we just eat a little bit of chalk here. I just alluded to the fact that I like pairing my quarterback with my tight end, so why not pair two of the best together? Do that, and then shut those buttons off. Anyways, just historically speaking, two tight end has performed very poorly in these contests. I think, let's see if I have... I had it pulled up. I got so many effing tabs open right now. No, sorry, I don't have it anymore. Actually, here, if you guys got to see, if you guys haven't seen John Boy Beats do the utility report like that, he does a variation of his own. Let's do Mike Evans, or Mike Evans. Let's do Mike Williams. I just really like Mike Williams this week, but that's no different than last week. And he got 13 targets, 8 catches last week. He comes down with that touchdown in the back corner of the end zone. We might have had ourselves a different week last week. Sorry, I don't have the draft board pulled up for everybody. Yeah, but John Boy Beats has been doing this. This is incredible that he puts this free on the Roto Journal or Roto Wall. Fuck, I'm gonna mess it up. I'm sorry, man. I think it's like Roto Wall Street Journal or Roto Journal. I'll look it up now. I feel bad. I'll put the link in the chat too. But Roto Street Journal. There you go. I will find the opportunity report here that our friend John Boy Beats has done, and then there's a link to this Excel sheet in there. Okay, there you go. Go ahead and check that out in tandem with the utilization report on Fantasy Life. And you can kind of look at weighted opportunity and stuff there as well. Nico Collins staring us in the face. Jalen Waddle, he was DNP. If he clears concussion protocol, his ADP is just flat broken right now. We got to do some scrolling though on this team. We got to get some weird. We got to get weirder here. I'm going to do Joshua Kelly, and we are actually going to stack the Chargers where you don't actually need Herbert. You need Mahomes. So just thinking of a contrarian way to stack that without taking Herbert or Christian I'm going crazy. Kirk Cousins, without doing it like that, because most people are going to be stacking, like Allen with Kirk or something like this. Pairing Joshua Kelly and Mike Williams together, obviously a narrower path, but actually shown some okay success in recent memory, tethering a pass catcher to a running back in a high total game. And then I think we're going to go ahead and we're going to start the scroll. We are going to start the scroll, and we are going to do a play that I was talking about earlier, because I'm not just a mouth, guys. I am thinking through range outcomes here, and I do practice what I preach. And we're going to go KJ Osborne is the wide receiver that you need from that game. And I mean, we don't even need him to outscore Justin Jefferson in this lineup. We just need him to outscore Addison and the other people going in about the 6th round. We're probably going to need 2 touchdowns from him for this to be optimal, but we're painting a narrative where we're getting to that 54-point total game, and we're getting to the 2 highest team totals and 2 of the 3 highest game totals on the slate in a fashion in which I don't think the field will be. Is it thinner? Absolutely. This is absolutely way thinner than just, hey, Keenan Allen stacked with Herbert and then build out some other scroll DFs down. But yeah, let's go ahead and get there. Yeah, Waddle and Eckler just keep staring you in the face late here, and then the fact that you're going to get swaps, but I'm being very cognizant of not getting overexposed so that my swaps turn into the same players over and over again, where I don't necessarily, love them as much as potentially these ones do. Yeah. I got a player in mind, but we'll go ahead and give it a little time here. It's gonna be a running back for me, and gravitating towards this. Oh, Chris scrolling the F down there and getting himself a Marquise Brown share on the run back of Dak, Pollard, Lamb, super stack. Interesting. Good strat. Good strat there. We're going to go ahead and take Aaron Jones. Already broke a slate once this year. ETR loves the spot for A.J. Dillon. Maybe you love it a little less when the 2-headed monster of that backfield is back. Aaron Jones's touchdowns were absolute 100% outliers, right? You know, it wasn't a byproduct of super duper volume, but he's the type of player that can do that. So if the hamstring's okay, and this practice is indicative of anything, he's going to be a big riser over the course of this week. And we don't necessarily care about closing line value in these contests unless that closing line value is like a 3rd rounder who becomes a 1st rounder and you built some super teams early. We don't care as much about a 6th round player coming into the player pool. We would actually prefer that 6th round player to stay out of the player pool and stay at like a 35.9 ADP, so he's actually less owned. So we kind of prefer he doesn't catch a little steam, but getting ahead of that right now feels like a decent spot. Feels like a sharp maneuver. So go ahead and do that. I got the itch here, thinking through some other combos and stuff. I'm gonna rip one last one and then call it a show here. I think the ETR Showdown show is on soon as well. So go check out Cody Main in that one, and Cody Main and Gary and Adam Lev. Always a staple there. Yeah, I'm leaning on Eckler missing too right now, OG. Like, I'm with you there. I don't think Eckler's quote from his own show the other day was his ankle is a day-to-day or week-to-week thing, and that was his own direct quote that he was talking about himself on. So yeah, I don't know entirely what to make of it other than I want a little bit of Eckler sprinkled in. But the other thing is, if you get someone else ruled out, he can be a 1-0-1 swap, so taking another Q tag is interesting. It's a really tough line to tread right now, but for me, I've been playing Joshua Kelly in the 5th round more than Eckler in the 5th round. But if that might be dumb, to be honest. It might be dumb of me to be doing that, because maybe I should just be taking Eckler and then being like, okay, let's just swap, right? Well, let's take Tyreek Hill. So we've had a 1, 2, or 3 draft spot all 3 of these times. We did a Jefferson build, we did a Kittle or a Kelsey build, and now we're going to go ahead and do a Tyreek build here. Limited on a Wednesday. Yeah, classic vet day. Classic vet day Wednesday for your alpha wide receiver. Just scrolling through a little bit of the news here. So if we got any other. Okay, interesting. LaFleur quote from Underdog 8 minutes ago. The Christian Watson hamstring was not a setback. It was a planned DMP. So DNP in practice Thursday was planned as rest. So that's pretty encouraging. Okay. Amari Cooper has the Q tag on the site. He was participating. Jalen Waddle was not participating. So just a couple more practice nuggets there. David Montgomery not participating, which is, to be expected. Amon-Ra seen participating at practice. That's a good thing. Anthony Richardson still in the protocol. Wow, Evan Hall torn meniscus will miss the rest of the season. I missed that one earlier. Dang. That's unfortunate. Zach Moss workload is looking pretty nice for this week. Go ahead and look up something here. And that Seattle game, that Seattle Carolina game got, I don't know if it gets more interesting or less interesting with Andy Dalton at quarterback. That might be, Andy Dalton might push that game environment better than Bryce Young would have. That's crazy to think. I mean, this might not be a bad thing. I don't know. My initial reaction to that was like, oh no, Bryce Young's out. And it's kind of like, are we sure that's a bad thing? That might be all right. Let's go ahead and take Mark Andrews here. I know the weather, a little bit off of that game environment in general, but no Odell, no Justice Hill. Andrews, I actually have ranked ahead of Hawkinson this week. I'm not sure how confident I feel in that, but that's where I'm currently at. So anytime Mark Andrews falls back to this side of the board with the new rankings amendment and stuff, I'll go ahead and click that. And I think I might deviate from my... I don't know. This is a fun team. This is going to be a fun team. Regardless of what happens, this is going to be a fun team. I don't think we're going to go the Mike Williams route again because we just did it. That's not as fun. I don't know. I'm thinking through this. I'm thinking through this Andy Dalton thing. Veteran Andy Dalton comes out, like pushes the tempo a little bit, pushes the pace. There might be some Geno doubles in my future here. Geno doubles with a little Miles Sanders run back. I mean, I'm not touching Adam Thielen. I don't think he has the ceiling to break this slate. But, yeah. Okay, let's take Calvin Ridley because I made my rule. If they're available in that top 12 or top 14 tier, we're going to put 3 of them on the team together. And then now we got to scroll the F down. So we could do, if Lamar comes back, we could do Lamar with Andrews. And then we got to get really weird with the next 2 picks because it's going to be very chalky. Or we can do a skinny stack that we've alluded to but haven't done on stream yet to mix it in. We could do. There's 2 run back skinny stacks off of Calvin Ridley and Tyreek Hill that I like both of. So we could play those 2 game environments both ways. Oh, there we go. Scoop, what's up, baby? I don't know if you guys watched the Thrill Show yesterday, but they had a sandwich draft, and Buffalo Chicken Wrap wins in my money. Buffalo Chicken Wrap. I'm sorry, Scoop. Buffalo Chicken Wrap, and Coley built it. That one wins for me. I'm sorry. I'm old staple. Buffalo Chicken Wrap. You can't go wrong with it. Little breaded chicken, a little hot sauce and cheese. Woo! Man, I might have one for lunch now. I'm hungry. All right, let's see what everybody's building out here. I was very Jahmyr Gibbs ADP. I alluded to the fact that on I guess it was Wednesday's show or Monday when the contest first dropped, we alluded to the fact that, hey, man, I don't really like it that much. I just don't see the path. I feel like it's Swift 2.0, blah, blah, blah. And I feel like that game environment's going to underdeliver what we think it's promising right now. All the projection models seem to like Gibbs, man. They think the opportunity share is going to be there. If you paint a game script where they're trailing versus Atlanta, and Atlanta, scores 2 on the ground with Bijan. Running it back with Jahmyr Gibbs is not that dumb an idea. I've done one Bijan plus Gibbs. It feels a little odd to do it, but man, he's popping. He is popping in the models, as the kids say, and I was surprised by that. I was very surprised. I thought the spreadsheets were going to be on my side with this one. Man, you guys are really forcing me to scroll right now, and I'm just staring at like my favorite plays in the face here. God, man, what are you guys doing to me? Okay, take Kenneth Walker here. I was promising a scroll. We got a scroll here, but you guys are just feeding me my favorite plays right now. Everybody's taking away my bit on my stream here. You guys are doing the scrolling. I'm supposed to be doing the scrolling. I like that Josh Kelly play there from Carlos. Okay. Mark Andrews, skinny. And then we could do a Zach Moss bring back. We could do Javonte on this team. We could do the Shrout one. You know what? You guys aren't going to take it away from me. I'm sticking to my guns out here. We are scrolling. I promised that we were scrolling with this team. And you guys feed me Lamar in my lap, and I'm not going to fall for it. I'm not falling for it. You guys setting me up. You're baiting me so that you can call me a fraud in the chat. That's what you guys are doing right now, and I'm too sharp for this shit. I'm not letting this happen to me. I'm not letting you guys bait me into a super team when I told you I was going to be scrolling the F down. I'm not doing it. I'm not falling for this trap. Oh. I have taken Christian Watson twice so far. He's not a big thing for me right now. But if you believe in what Jordan Love's been doing, which I low-key do right now, I don't see how you don't get to Christian Watson when he's free. Like it just feels good. We see Aaron Jones go there. See Cook go in there. Yeah, I'm a proponent of bacon on sandwiches. Yeah, I'm scared to scroll, baby. I'm scared to scroll. Fields goes there. You guys give me Lamar all the way back in my lap for the Lamar Andrews in the 6th round. Is Jury Judy a far enough scroll to just go ahead and take Lamar with it? Am I a coward to do this? I think the Jury Judy one might be far enough. Or do I have to take Russell Wilson on this team? I don't know. Do we need to take Russell Wilson on this team? Did I scroll far enough? I think I got to take Lamar, guys. I scrolled once. Maybe we don't scroll twice on this one because you guys spoon-fed it back to me. I didn't fall for the trap once, but, to fool me twice, right? Oh, man. Yeah, Tua. Yeah, GA, there you go. You went for lunch and I'm still here. Yeah, apologies. I just wanted to sneak one last one in there. Let's take a look at this one. Aaron Jones in the last there. Gabe Davis is a backstack with Josh Allen from Nick. Interesting way to play that game, Nick, where you go with the Hawkinson there, but then don't take any other piece of that game. That's another way to counterintuitively get contrarian from these high total chalky games, is you take the one-off piece early and everyone and their dog is going like, yo, Hawk, right? And then you do something like this where you pair him with Josh Allen when he falls. Let's look at the combo of that just for 1 second because I want to see if I'm actually right on that. Let's take Josh Allen in here. Actually, let's use that one was kind of finicky earlier. Let's go ahead and we'll take Josh Allen on the combo sheet. We will go ahead and add DJ to that, only at 5%. But all of a sudden, if you put Kirk in here, I bet you this vaults 32%. There you go. So you're instantly getting tapped into 2 game environments that are both ones that we want a part of, but in a contrarian fashion because of their unique ADPs and because everyone's mind pairs it the same way. Now it runs counterintuitive to my thesis of, hey, we should be pairing our tight ends and our our tight ends and our passers. But yeah, I don't know. It's just these games. You go down the rabbit hole, and it's just such a mind fuck sometimes, right? Yeah. I mean, like, this is the one, right? Like, everybody loves this game, right? And so we were talking about it earlier. It's like you want to get away from that and just mix in KJ Osborne there. Like, I'm not saying you should get away from it, but I'm just saying if you want to get unique with it, nobody's doing it with KJ Osborne, right? So why not? Here you go. There you go. Real quick, look up KJ Osborne and Everett as the stop combo. Yeah, I mean, that's probably just going to be 0%. I can tell you right now that, nobody's getting there yet, but that's another way to play the exact same. You just flip the narrative of that game environment. Like Joshua Palmer. Nobody's going to play Joshua Palmer. It's not sexy. It's not fun. Joshua Palmer can't necessarily break a slate, but can Joshua Palmer do what Josh Reynolds did last week? Absolutely. Absolutely. You could go 7 for 80 in a score and be the third wide receiver you need and be the most valuable wide receiver from that game environment. And then you get double bubble leverage on the fact that, hey, you have a roster that didn't play Mike Will or didn't play Keenan Allen, but still got the value from that ball game, right? So just thinking through things, range outcomes and stuff. Yeah, there you go. Using the sheet, right? Appreciate that, Carlos. I enjoy doing it, man. It helps me in my process too. Like, people ask, like, why do you stream these drafts and stuff like that? Like, isn't it better to keep the knowledge like close to your vest and stuff? And I've talked about this a little bit before. It really helps my process. Like, I was really excited to do yesterday's show with Nez and bounce the ideas off him and be like, hey, where are you coming at this from? Where am I coming at this from? Right? Yeah. Oh, there you go. Basically drafting your dog. Well, that's awesome. Like, I love that. That's good. I hope that team does well for both of us, bro. Yeah, man, nobody's getting here. There you go. Go with the CJ Stroud goes through Schultz. Then you pair your pass catcher, or you pair your tight end with your passer as well. But everyone's building the CJ Stroud stuff through Nico Collins, who has a 25 ADP, right? So is Nico Collins a better play than Schultz? Absolutely. Like 1,000 times better play. But are we looking for an extreme outlier? Yeah, absolutely. This is a risk tolerance exercise, Scoop, where, so for the valued audio listeners, he's asking, is there value in scrolling down to be contrarian if you're only doing a small amount of lineups? And the answer is there's more value in it if you are doing a limited portfolio. Because if you only come in here and you do 3 drafts and you pick from the exact same player pool of the top, 36, 28, 24, let's say you get a screaming ADP value and you get 6 players all from the top 24, you're not scoring any unique points. You're scoring the same points as everybody else in the field is, and somebody else is going to have that combination just with the guy who is a fraction of a point better, but was a 36 point or 35.8 pick, right? So the reason uniqueness matters so much, it matters even more in a small limited sample, because I mean, if I'm only playing like 3 lineups, for instance, I would come in here and I would take maybe I would take 4 guys that all had ADPs over 35, because I want that one single bullet. It's like, if you think about the way you build like a Millie Maker lineup on like DK or something like that, if you're only playing 1 bullet, well, guess what you don't do? Eat the chalk, right? Like, you fade Jerome Ford. You fade Joshua Kelly last week. You fade the Stone Cold Lock chalk. You fade David Montgomery last week, right? If you faded Joshua Kelly last week, if you're building 150 lineups, you probably wanted like 25% Joshua Kelly last week because he was a stone cold salary saving lock chalk, right? Like, it was cash game play, whatever, right? It's different playing with salary, but it's a good illustration. But then you come into our game like this, right? Like, the player pool, you're not going to build the GM that is the absolute nutted GM on your first bullet ever. I mean, like, maybe someone gifts you Kelsey and Pollard on the same team and Mike Evans comes back. Maybe you do get something like that. but the chances of it are like so slim that you're better to just formulate a plan in your mind. Hey, what game, like look at the ADP ranks. Okay, nobody's touching this game. Nobody's touching this player. Okay, let's take this, go into this, and I'm going to be the only guy in this tournament that goes Andy Dalton plus Hayden Hurst, right? If Andy Dalton goes nuke in this spot, you're the only guy with him, right? It's so much leverage. Whereas like if Travis Etienne goes nuke and you happen to get him in the 4th round, well, someone else got him in the 4th round as well, and he has the 25 points you need as well. Anyways, long-winded way of saying like scroll the F down. Right? Evergreen statement. All right. Anyways, that was a long one. 140 by myself. I don't know. Holy smokes. I didn't know I was capable of it. I'm not going to lie, guys. A win bag. We will be back tomorrow, off and on the clock. I got to watch myself and say it slow every time just to make sure I got my offs and my ons correct. Because if anyone looks back at the tweet last week, I effed it up and I put it on and off, not off and on. So anyways, off and on the clock tomorrow with Pete. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be primarily drafts. It's going to be a pick'em. Hopefully it's going to be a spicy pick'em if those guys have that available to them while we're doing so. Going to be a really fun show. All 4 of us going to be back in the booth for that one. Talk through this slate a little bit more. A lot of moving parts. Maybe we'll know some more with the practice reports, some more with the weather, all that good stuff. Best of luck to everybody playing tonight. I hope Elijah Mitchell's the guy you need. I hope you guys got some Elijah Mitchell going in there. And yes, hey, see you in the best puck, baby. See you in the best puck. We'll do another one. DJ, we'll run it back soon on the best puck as we get some preseason going here. We'll run that one back. Promise to run that one back, and I promise to run back some double dribble stuff. But anyways, hey, you guys are too kind. Thank you for being here. There's no show without you guys. So much appreciated. We'll be back tomorrow. If you're not playing on Underdog Fantasy, just remember, promo code MLB, and it gets you up to a $500 match deposit now. 100%, up to $500. That's fun to say. I'm looking for the outro. All right, everybody's favorite time of the show, the end. Peace. Thanks for being here, guys.